If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or a computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Everybody to another episode of Bombshell1111 Podcast, Therapy for Women of Color. My name is Keya and I'm your host. Tonight, you guys, we have a very special guest by the name of Miss Kesha Williams. Miss Kesha Williams is the CEO and founder of Trinity Overflow LLC. She is also the founder of Kingdom Kidz and is a Prophetic Coach for children and families. So without further ado, you guys, let's welcome her to the show. Welcome, Kesha. How are you?
I am great. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be with you guys.
Thank you so much for coming on and being a part of the podcast. I know the audience and listeners don't know, but we share some history in the past from working together. And I just know you have a lot of knowledge because we used to have so many conversations, long conversations. And you're very passionate about the work that you do. You have a very caring heart in reference to working with families and children. And you put everything you have in you within your work. And I've seen it with my own two eyes. So thank you too, again, for coming on and being a part of the podcast tonight.
You're most welcome.
So let's just hop right in. I have told the listeners a little bit about you just in the intro and through your bio. However, in addition to the things that I did mention, you have a ton of other things under your belt as well. So can you give the listeners and the audience a short bio about who you are, where you're from, and pretty much what you do?
Sure. My name is Kesha. And first and foremost, I am a daughter. I am a wife. I'm a mother of 5 beautiful children, soon to be a grandma. This is crazy. Soon to be a grandma. And I am a minister and I serve at my local church. And I'm so excited to be here tonight. I am the founder of Kingdom Kidz, which is just during these perilous times, you see so many outreach for adults and churches having events for adults, but no one is really, paying attention to what the children are doing, and no one is really feeding their spiritual and emotional health. And so that's what we do. We meet together weekly. I am also associated with NAMI, which is the National Alliance of Mental Health. And I wear so many hats, but those are the ones that are closest and dearest to my heart.
Okay, wow. Like I said, you guys, she has a lot of things under her belt and some she still didn't even mention. So you guys, tonight the topic that we're going to focus on is how does foster care impact youth or children's mental health. The reasoning for choosing this topic is because Mrs. Williams has background experience and current work history within the foster care system, and she has a wealth of knowledge and wealth of resources to be able to share with you guys. So tonight's topic is going to focus on that. So to just jump right in, Mrs. Williams, how does foster care affect a child's mental health in your opinion?
I would say foster care affects a child's mental health because I would say this in a positive way. I want to bring a lot of positive light to what millions of social workers, caseworkers, what we do every single day. Foster care can affect a child's mental health in a positive way, because when you think about it, a lot of kids are even now during this pandemic, they're at home with family members or parents who don't have the knowledge or the resources or the tools to connect their children with the mental health support, resources, and needs that they really truly need to help them cope or manage whatever trauma they are right now experiencing. So I would say foster care, when you look at the dynamics of foster care, when you look at the history of foster care, it can affect a child's mental health in a positive way, because foster care, one of the major agents is connecting the kids to the resources and the supports that they need to help them process their life. So that's my outlook on it. From doing this work for over 13 years, this has been one of the greatest benefactors as far as helping children. I like to tell every child that I meet, one of my main goals is to help give children their childhood back, because children lose their childhood because of not only their life experiences, but because of the environments in which they are born in. So I would say foster care can, it really can affect a child's mental health in a positive way, because it gives them the connections that they need to help realign their lives back to a healthy place.
And I totally agree with everything you just said. For those individuals who don't understand or don't have knowledge of generally how long a child stays within the foster care system, and again how it impacts their mental health, being placed in different placements, different homes, with different group homes, can you help the audience learn more about this in reference to generally how long does a child stay within the foster care system?
What is interesting, a lot of times we look at TV or we listen to, conversations about the foster care system. The foster care system, and this is a global agenda, it's not for kids to stay in foster care all their lives. There are kinship programs that reach out to families to take their family members in, whether it's their niece, a distant cousin, or a grandchild, to take their children into their homes and provide care for them. So it's never, the agenda of any foster care system globally, across the United States. The plan is for kids to not be in care longer than, I would say, 2 years? The agenda is always to secure a permanent home and family for children who have been, removed from traumatic situations in their life. It's never for them to remain in foster care, but for them to find permanency, a permanent home. When kids have permanency, it makes for a healthier adult. I would say teenager and adolescent, but I skip past every developmental stage and I go to the healthy adult that, each parent, I'm a parent, my desire is to raise healthy adults, not just children. Children become adults. So my overall goal is to make sure that my kids have the necessities and the care and the love that they need so that they can become healthy adults. That's the agenda. Not for kids to stay in foster care all their lives, but to find a permanent home that can raise them, rear them, love them, and provide them with the support that they need to help them become healthy adults.
And Ms. Williams, in your opinion, why do most foster parents quit or just give up, in just your opinion?
I would say this. Being a foster parent is not for the faint at heart. You have to have the heart, the mind to do this work. Children need love. They need love. They need room and an environment. They need space to heal. So I have been doing this work for a long time, and I don't know any foster parents that's ever quit, because most of the foster parents that I have ever worked with, I mean, even like 15 years ago, the objective is to always provide foster parents with the love and the support that they need. So I think I just have to say it hypothetically. If a foster parent says, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore, maybe it's because they want to get married. Maybe it's because they've served in the capacity in which they have been able to give their time, their treasures, their talents to love children that have been, separated from their families. Maybe they're saying, you know what, this is my time. I need to be able to pour back into my own life or do the things that I have sacrificed doing. People give up for so many reasons, but I would like to say that could possibly be some of the main reasons why, from my experience, I don't know many that have walked away from it, because most people who foster children love children and have a desire to be a part of their tribe. That's our heritage. It takes a village to raise a child. And so that's my experience or my knowledge of most foster parents. I don't know many that have walked away from it, because so many are committed to helping and supporting children.
And so let's talk about it on the other end of the spectrum in reference to, let's just say a child has been in foster care for a good length of time, and they're aging out. What happens when a child fosters out of, foster care?
A lot of kids I know who may age out. Some kids go back and be with their families. Some children go to college. Some go to Job Corps. Some go into the military. And I was doing some research, and I was seeing that, globally, society seems to believe that most of the children who age out of care become homeless. And I would say that is not the agenda. The agenda is to provide children as old as 22 with the supports and resources to help them become wholesome, independent citizens of this world. And so in my experience, even from, I would say 13 years ago, we walked some of the kids that we were supporting during that time, I would say back in Virginia. And many of the kids that were in our care, they aged out. They went to college. Some of them went to Job Corps. And to this day, just by following some of them are lawyers. Some of them are doctors. Some of them are working in Washington, D.C. to this very day because of the nurture and the care that they receive. So all kids who age out of care are not just homeless or selling drugs, robbing people. Some of these kids, a lot of our kids, leave foster care and create a healthy, balanced life, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, for themselves as well as for their siblings. Some of these kids get their lives together and say, you know what, I'm going to be a support to my family. I'm going to be the one that's going to raise the bar and make the difference in my family. So there are great stories, great testimonies that come from children who age out of care or who were developed, throughout their childhood, whether it's in the foster care system, by way of adoption, or being reunified with their families.
And I'm glad you touched on those positive points, because the picture is painted that, children tend to not be successful after being in foster care for a length of time, or just being in foster care in general, because of things that we've seen on TV or just word of mouth. But in all reality, there are positives and negatives to foster care. And with you and I both working within those fields, we both experienced and seen pretty much of all. And with that being said, Ms. Williams, what are the negative effects of foster care in which you've experienced or seen?
I would say in any career, you just feel like you never get paid enough. But I would say sometimes, and this is something I mentioned today over different streams of social media and different outlets. One of the most negative things, whether it's this job or any job, it is so important for you to take time for yourself. A lot of helping fields, we do not take enough time to take time for ourselves, to rejuvenate, to rest, and to separate ourselves from the work at hand. So sometimes the negative effect is just going and running on E and not stopping and continuing to try to service people on empty. That to me, that is one of the major negatives of not just any job, any working job, but specifically for this job. When you are caring for others, you have to be built to last. And if you're built to last, that means taking time to take care of your family, take care of your mental, take care of your emotional, take care of your physical health, and prioritize that. You'll be able to see not through a half glass, but through a full glass. And any objective or anything that comes your way, you'll be able to manage it from such an emotional, healthy place. So I would say that has been one of my negatives, not taking up enough time for myself, because a lot of times I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a minister, I'm a coach, I'm so many things, right? And so I have found myself not taking enough time for myself to be able to manage everything that comes with my day. So I would say that is one of the major negatives, is not taking enough time to be restored, replenished, and to rest, you know?
Oh, wow. I totally agree, because at that time in my life when I was working within foster care, I gave everything in me to the job. And at night I come home and my 8-year-old, she was probably 6 then. She would say, "Mommy, can I have your number to your job? Because you always doing work, Mommy." But it was because I was preparing for court for the next day or 2 days down the road, because I wanted to make sure I had everything for my case. And I wanted to make sure my parents had everything in place. So it not taking time out for me and my kids, like you said, that is very important. And that can be sometimes the only negative effect within foster care, is not taking care of yourself, self-care.
Exactly. And time management. And I had to break it down to myself like this. Time management is a skill I learned in high school, and I mastered it. So we have to take the essential skills that we learned in our adolescent years of life and apply them even to now. Because at the end of the day, we were learning these skills and these lessons from people who were actively doing then what we are doing right now. And so if it worked for them, although yes, the culture is different, right? Because now we're working from home, we have the pandemic, and we have our kids home with us. We're trying to work and get lunch, breakfast, and dinner, 2 snacks, and everything, gym time and music time. So we're doing a lot. We're juggling a lot. So it is so important to manage our time ever so wisely and do what matters most every day. And that is where that is now the umbrella under which I live every day. Is every day I have to walk away knowing, or lay my head down at night knowing that I gave everybody everything that I felt I could possibly give them from a heart of love. And at the end of the day, I make sure that I too have given myself equally the same amount of love that I have given my work and my family, because you never want to run on empty. So that's just,
Yes, I agree. That was very powerful. Everything you just said, I agree 100%. 100%. Let's go back and talk about some of like the in between when children are within the foster care system. Some of the main pieces that kind of affect them in reference to their mental health, such as like education and things of that nature. How do you feel, or how does being in foster care affect the child's education?
I'll say this. I'll use myself as an example. Although I didn't grow up in foster care, I grew up in a home where my parents were together, and at the age of 9, they divorced. And so my mother transitioned us from the state of Ohio to the state of Virginia. That was traumatizing for us. I was a straight A student all throughout, high school. Even I was making A's and B's, things of that nature. I was always on a roll. I was affected my first year at a new school, a new environment, and my mother worked 2 jobs. My grandmother, I called her this before she passed away. I told her, you were my only social worker. Where so many single moms need support and help, my grandmother would come up to the school and she would find out what I needed to get me back on track. And my grandmother made sure that it was carried out. I will say this because there was a lot of things that I was struggling with mentally and emotionally, being separated from my dad. And so the barriers, can you just consider, I always, as educators and other supports and resources in schools, to consider what a child in foster care could possibly be going through. A lot of times it's not that the kids cannot do the work. A lot of times it's that they didn't get a hug today. Nobody told them they looked beautiful. No one told them that they were smart or special. Maybe if you change how you view them and interact with them, maybe you'll get something from them. Maybe they will surprise you. Maybe they will show you just how smart they are. Maybe they will show you the gem. Maybe they'll twinkle a little bit and show you the diamond in the rough a little bit. If you give them or pour into them a little bit more maybe than you would some of your straight A students or your more gifted kids. And what I love about the agenda globally within the foster care system is the resources that are provided to make sure that these children succeed academically. There's so many resources, and not just for children in foster care. I mean, any child that's struggling with educational skills. There's IEPs and all type of 504 plans that are created to help children stay on tack, or stay, not just stay on tack, but stay on target as it relates to their academics. There are so many resources right now for children in foster care as it relates to the educational system. But what I would say, a lot of the weight comes back on us as parents, right? We have to make sure that our kids are studying every day. We have to make sure that our kids are, that we're paying attention to their grades and we're communicating with the teachers. And all of that is in place. But at the end of the day, the weight falls back on children. You have to have a made up mind to do it. You have to have a made up mind. So it's so it's so manifold. Not just one person is responsible. Everybody that's a part of the team, is responsible to making sure every child succeeds. From the principals to teachers, the counselors, everybody,
And you are going right into a great segues to the next questions that I have. Because my next question for you is, in your opinion, how do parents affect their children's mental health?
Oh my goodness. I mean, a spoiled apple can spoil one spoiled apple can spoil the whole batch. When you think about children, I think about children in our communities. I think about kids at the grocery store, where you can just instantly pick up and discern, like, dang, this child is beautiful. This child was probably born without any type of emotional issues, probably was happy, but life, right? Life. Their parents' life, what their parents exposed them to. Trauma. How does it affect? It affects children in such a hard way, because children are made and forced to take on a load that they were not created or designed or even shaped to handle. When you think about even now with this pandemic, so many children, I guess, we don't think about the kids who could be in foster care all across this world, who are losing parents and they have no insight about it because of COVID. So trauma, whether it's the parents' trauma or trauma that they experience all over this world, children everywhere are dealing with it every day. Whether they are directly associated with foster care or not, your parent's life can affect you positively or negatively. And my empathy is that there are parents who just don't know any better. They don't know how to manage their own life struggles and guard or create an environment for their children to continue to soar. You know what I mean? There are so many parents who are struggling with depression, but they don't know how to create that environment where they can say, you know what, I'm struggling with my depression. How can I create a wall so that what I am struggling with, it does not affect my child? A lot of parents don't know how to do that. So a lot of kids have to assume the responsibility, whether their parents are struggling with drugs or struggling with depression or schizophrenia, whatever the case. A lot of times these kids have to take care of themselves the best way that they know how. So how does it affect kids? It affects them mentally, emotionally, academically, socially. So a lot of times these are the bullies you see at school. They're being bullied because they're not, they're bullying kids because they're not being taken care of at home, or they're not receiving the love and the care that they need. So it creates a cycle, a vicious cycle that really needs recovery and support to help these children not face the same obstacles and outcomes that their parents have faced or are facing. You know what I mean? Not to talk too much, but
oh no, we're here to learn, and I think that's correct in everything you're saying. And I mean, I was still listening.
I'm sorry, but it's real. I believe that there is a way to create a force field, you know what I mean, for your kids to still have a healthy life without overwhelming them with our life situations and circumstances. So I find myself at times being very kind of overwhelmed with the day and maybe a little bit crankier some days than others. And as a parent, I have to model certain behavior for my kids. I have to go back to them and say, you know what, mommy was a little cranky yesterday. I apologize. because I don't want my own children to feel like this is the way that we are supposed to handle or manage life. Yes, we're all human, and yes, we all have our moments, but at the same time, where's the cleanup? Where's the cleanup? So it takes, I'll say this again, it takes a village. If you know a child, maybe that lives next door to you is struggling with something, you don't see a smile on their face. If you're driving past a bus stop when COVID lifts, or if you see them outside and they don't look happy, say something to brighten their day, to give them hope. You know what I mean? Sometimes that's all kids need, is hope, to believe that some way, somehow, life has a different meaning than what they are presently experiencing, or the environment that they are presently living in. Somebody has to make the difference. And so a parent's mental health, does it affect their children? Absolutely. Absolutely. Children are being neglected, abused, and all children want to do, you want to know what every child's desire to do is? Simply have fun. Kids want to have fun, and they don't care who they have fun with. But when a parent is living in darkness every single day, some way, somehow, if there is not someone in their life that can help come and cover those kids and expose them to joy, peace, and happiness, then you will see a repeated cycle. It's the obvious.
Obvious. Correct. And Ms. Williams, you touched on very good points here. As a community and as a whole, what can we do to help improve the foster care system overall to ensure that these children have a successful outcome?
Get involved. Research. Find ways to be actively involved, whether it's becoming a foster parent, whether it's, local churches saying, you know what, we're going to partner with local agencies, and we're going to partner with local community resources, and we're going to contribute, or we're going to give, or we're going to do something to give back. Get involved. One thing that kind of rubs me the wrong way is that we blame systems all the time when systems were put in place. If we do our own research and we understand the objectives and the possible outcomes from the design and the structure of different systems, we will understand with more clarity versus just hearing and seeing what we see on TV, or the negatives that we see on TV about many diverse systems. If you don't get involved, if you don't have clarity about what these systems' objectives are, then you will not be able to be associated with positive change. People will continue to throw darts and daggers at people who are trying to put operations in place to help make society as a whole better. So it is important, if you want to get in, or if you want to see, especially the foster care system change, get involved. Be a great caretaker for these children, because they are beautiful, they're creative. Find a way to invent something new to help change society at large, because when you look at a lot of people who are in high places, many of these individuals were once a little kid sitting in foster care, not receiving the love and the support they may have felt like they needed. So how can we change that? How can we change the narratives? How can we get involved? How can we disassociate ourselves from all the negative feedback that we hear on social media, in movies, in conversations with people? How can we get involved? That's how can we get involved? Because as soon as anyone with a positive outlook, a positive motive to help make foster care systems, systems for children with disabilities, systems for our elders, if we get involved, we can make the difference, right? So that's just the first step. Get involved, become a foster parent, do something. Give back, donate, coats, Pampers, find ways to be a resource to support families that are in need. Because once we do that, we'll see a major change. We'll see a major change in our world, in our community. If we care a little bit more, if we pay a little bit more attention, if we put the pen to the paper and get the visions out of our head to help design or restructure systems that are already functioning and have been functioning for decades. The foster care system didn't just start in 1980. This has been around for decades. Decades. So what can we continue to do as the wheel continues to turn to be a support, especially for children and families in need? Get involved, because that's what will make the difference with the right motive.
Wow. Again, as I stated at the beginning of the podcast, I knew you were going to share some powerful knowledge and information, and you did just that. I thank you so much for coming on and being a part of the podcast. At this time, I would like to allow you time to share your information on how to contact you on social media for those individuals and listeners that are listening that may want to touch base with you, maybe to just get some guidance, resources, or what have you. Can you just provide that information?
Sure. My email is trinityoverflow@gmail.com, and that's TRINITY overflow@gmail.com. And on Facebook, you can reach me at Kesha Williams. I should pop up. That's my name on Facebook. And I don't do too much Instagram, but Facebook and Gmail are the best ways to kind of locate me. I don't have a lot of social media handles at this time because I do more outreach, face-to-face work with people. So those are the best handles in which to reach me by way of social media.
Okay, so thank you so much for that, Ms. Williams. And again, thank you for coming on Bombshell1111 Podcast. And I wish you the best in your future endeavors. And again, thank you so
much for having me. This has been a pleasure and an honor.
Thank you again, and you're more than welcome. And so you guys, with that being said, always remember you are a bomb within your own shell. Peace, love, and light, you guys. And
good night, everyone.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure you subscribe so you're notified when a new episode is posted. Rate, review, and share this podcast with your family and friends. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you're leaving with some valuable information that can help you on your personal journey. Also, check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Bombshell1111 or at Bombshell1111 TV. You can also check out our mental health page, Your Health is Your Wealth, on Facebook, which is a page created to inform and support individuals with mental health and other health conditions. And with that being said, always remember, you guys, you are a bomb within your own shell. And until next time, peace, love, and light.